Do you realize the biggest mistake you're making right now is thinking you need to be understood? You're spending your energy explaining yourself, defending your choices, and waiting for someone else's approval, while your peace, your purpose, and your power slowly slip away. The truth is, the more you chase validation, the further you drift from your own voice. And here's the paradox. The moment you stop trying to be seen is when people finally start to notice. He who looks outside dreams, but he who looks inside awakens. Buddhism doesn't teach us to fight for attention. It teaches us to return to ourselves. Because when you focus on yourself, not out of ego, but out of deep awareness, something changes. You stop reacting, you stop needing, and your presence alone begins to speak louder than your words ever could. This video is for those who are done being drained, done being shaken by every opinion, every judgment, every rejection. What happens when your silence becomes more powerful than your explanations? What happens when you stop chasing and start becoming? Before we begin with number 1, subscribe to Deep Wisdom, where every video opens the door to inner calm, clarity, and Buddhist insight you won't find anywhere else. And stay until the end, because I'll share a bonus habit that few understand, but once mastered, it quietly shocks everyone without a single word. Let's begin. 1. Silence is the language of the strong. What if your silence held more truth than your words ever could? We live in a world where noise is mistaken for confidence, where people shout to be seen and speak constantly, hoping to be understood. But in the teachings of the Buddha, we are reminded, silence is the language of the strong. Like a deep, still lake that reflects the heavens above, your inner stillness carries more truth than any reaction, any defense, or any argument. Yet how often do we betray our own peace just to respond? You don't need to prove anything. A mountain does not chase the wind. It does not explain its silence. It does not lean or bend when storms pass. It simply stands, fully, quietly, completely at peace in its presence. This is the forgotten power, focusing on yourself, not to isolate, but to return home. When you stop chasing the noise around you, something shifts. You begin to notice. Not everyone needs to hear you, but you need to hear yourself. In Buddhist practice, silence isn't absence. It is presence without disturbance. Sit just for 2 minutes with no music, no words, no distractions, not to escape noise, but to hear what remains. What rises within you when there is nothing left to distract you? That stillness is not emptiness. That stillness is where you meet your truth. The modern world calls silence laziness, withdrawal, weakness. But those who walk the path know it takes courage to be still, discipline to not react, strength to listen deeply. And it shocks people when you no longer react the way you once did, when you no longer explain your growth, your solitude, your boundaries. They don't understand, because this kind of peace can't be performed. It is cultivated, one breath at a time. Perhaps you've been filling your days, your relationships, your space with noise, just to avoid a truth you haven't been ready to face. Ask yourself gently, are you filling your silence out of fear? Or could that silence be the door to your clarity, your healing, your transformation? The Buddha once said, "The wise ones who are ever meditative attain perfect peace and freedom, not by shouting louder, but by hearing deeper." Let today be a turning point, not a declaration to the world, but a return to yourself. Let your actions speak. Let your calmness be your reply. Let your life be your quiet revolution. Because the moment you focus on your own inner stillness, the world notices. Not because you ask it to, but because true power always reveals itself, without a single word spoken. 2. Letting go is an act of courage. Why does the tightest grip often cause the deepest pain? We hold on because we're afraid. Afraid of change, afraid of endings, afraid of who we might be without the things we've grown attached to. But in truth, the more tightly we cling, the more we suffer. Like trying to hold water by clenching your fist, it slips through, leaving your hand empty and your heart exhausted. In Buddhist teachings, we are gently reminded, letting go is not weakness. Letting go is an act of courage. There is a quiet bravery in release. Because when you let go of something that once defined you, you are not giving up. You are giving yourself permission to grow, to heal, to breathe again. Pain often comes not from what's lost, but from our unwillingness to release it. That which you try to hold will cut you. That which you release will carry you. Imagine for a moment one burden, one memory, one attachment that weighs heavily on your heart. Now, gently place it into a flowing stream in your mind. Watch how the current takes it, softly, slowly, without a struggle. This is the way of the wise. They do not fight the river, they trust it, trusting that what is meant to stay will remain, and what is meant to go will go. And still, the mind resists. It says, what if I need this? What if I'm nothing without it? But this is illusion. What truly belongs to your soul does not need to be gripped. It stays naturally. What needs to leave, leaves, so that space can open for something truer, something lighter, something more aligned with who you're becoming. Ask yourself gently, what are you gripping that's already trying to leave? Is it a relationship, an identity, an old version of yourself? Sometimes, the greatest shock to the world is not your strength to hold on, but your grace to let go without resentment, quietly, without drama, without explanation. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to, and when you no longer fear the falling away, you rise in a new form, more whole, more grounded, more free. People may not understand your silence, your calm, your peace. They may wonder how you are not shaken. But it is because you have stopped grasping and started flowing. Focus on yourself, not with bitterness, but with intention. Let go, not to escape, but to evolve. When you do this, something magical happens. Your energy changes, your life realigns, and you begin to walk lighter, with a kind of strength that shocks the world, because it needs no words. In the end, it is not how tightly you held on that defines you. It is how gracefully you let go and trusted the current to carry you home. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My growth speaks silently." 3. Peace is louder than reaction. What if your calm response was your loudest boundary? In the chaos of life, the world often expects you to react, fast, loud, and without thought. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something very different. Peace is not passive, it is power. The calmness you carry in moments of provocation is not weakness, it is mastery. A lit torch does not argue with the wind, it simply burns brighter. Your peace is not meant to hide your strength, it is your strength. There is a stillness that cannot be shaken, like a candle protected in a storm, not by fighting the wind, but by shielding its own flame. You can be that candle. You can choose not to be disturbed, not because you are numb, but because you are free. When someone tries to pull you into their storm, you don't have to lose yourself. You don't have to defend every truth or respond to every shadow. Sometimes the loudest statement is made in silence. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. We're taught to prove ourselves, to defend, to justify. But the moment you stop reacting, something strange happens. People notice. They become confused. Why are you not responding? Why are you so still? And in that stillness, you reveal something they cannot grasp. You are no longer controlled by the external. You have become anchored within. Try this today. When you feel the tension rise, pause. Just one breath, just one moment between impulse and reaction. In that small, sacred space, you will find who you truly are. That space is your freedom. That space is your wisdom. And that space is where your peace lives. Ask yourself gently, who are you when you don't react? Who are you when you don't rush to defend, to explain, to fight back? You are presence. You are awareness. You are not the noise. You are the one who hears it. And when you become the witness, not the warrior, something shifts. Your energy changes. Your focus sharpens. Your path becomes clear. The Buddha said, "Those who are free of resentful thoughts surely find peace." So what if your peace was your boundary? Not raised voices, not drawn lines, but quiet clarity that says, "I don't go where my peace cannot follow." Focus on yourself, not with ego, but with sacred awareness. Practice non-reaction, not to prove a point, but to stay rooted in your truth. People may not understand, they may push harder, but eventually they will see. There is nothing more shocking than someone who cannot be shaken. Let your calm be your revolution. Let your stillness speak. Because when the world is loud and you remain unbothered, that silence becomes thunder. 4. You don't owe the world an explanation. Why does needing to explain drain your spirit? There is a quiet exhaustion that comes from always having to explain yourself. Your choices, your path, your silence. It's as if the world demands a justification for your every breath. But the truth is, you don't owe the world an explanation. The tree does not justify its stillness to the storm. It bends when needed, stands when it must, and never once explains its being. You too can choose to grow without announcing your every leaf. So much energy is lost in trying to be understood. In proving you are kind, good, right, wise, capable. But real peace begins the moment you stop explaining yourself to those committed to misunderstanding you. The Buddha did not go door to door explaining enlightenment. He walked his path quietly, patiently, fully, and those meant to see followed. Like the moon, you are allowed to go through phases. You are allowed to retreat. You are allowed to shine fully one day and disappear the next. You don't need to explain why you changed, why you chose solitude, why your energy no longer matches the chaos around you. Not everyone will understand your silence, and that's okay. You did not come here to be understood by all. You came to be aligned with truth. Try this. The next time someone misunderstands your stillness, your no, your boundary, let it be. Don't chase after their approval. Don't rush to clarify. Just observe what your silence teaches you about where your energy truly belongs. In that moment, you reclaim something precious. Your focus, your calm, your inner authority. Ask yourself gently, what are you trying to prove, and to whom? What part of you is still needing validation from the outside world? Is it your heart, or is it your fear? When you begin to focus on your own peace instead of proving your worth, you become untouchable. Not because you've hardened, but because you've healed. The Buddha said, "A man is not called wise because he talks and talks again, but if he is peaceful, loving, and fearless, then he is in truth called wise." Wisdom does not shout. It does not explain. It simply radiates. And those who are meant to receive your truth will feel it. even in your silence. So focus on yourself, not to distance, but to deepen. Let the world form its opinions. Let the noise rise and fall. You do not need to match it. You are not here to convince. You are here to become. And that, quietly, shocks everyone. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My growth speaks silently 5. Master yourself or be mastered by the world. Why do you feel controlled by people, moods, and outcomes? There is a silent suffering that comes from living at the mercy of everything outside you. One harsh word can ruin your day. One failure can steal your peace. One person's opinion can shake your confidence. And yet, in Buddhist wisdom, the answer has always been clear. Master yourself or be mastered by the world. Until you learn to hold your own mind, the world will pull you in every direction, and you won't even realize it. Your mind is not your enemy. But when left untamed, it becomes like a wild horse, strong, fast, and unpredictable. It runs not toward your dreams, but away from your peace. It tramples your intentions and exhausts your spirit. A wild horse cannot lead a caravan. It creates only chaos. But once guided with care, once trained with patience, it becomes a force of quiet power. So too must you learn to hold the reins of your mind. Notice your reactions, not in shame, but in awareness. The next time a thought rushes in or emotion swells like a wave, pause. Ask yourself gently, who is steering this moment, me or the emotion? Because every time you pause, you reclaim the reins. Every time you respond with clarity instead of reacting with habit, you take a step out of the prison of reactivity and into the freedom of mastery. Most people live as slaves to what they feel. They say, "I'm just this way," or "I had no choice," but that is the illusion. The truth is, every emotion is a visitor, every thought is a cloud, and you are the sky, the observer, the one who chooses whether to follow or let it pass. Ask yourself quietly, do you act or do you only react? When your actions come from alignment, they are rooted, they are deliberate, they are powerful. But when your life is a series of reactions, you become like a leaf blown by every passing wind, never still, never certain, never free. The Buddha said, "Though one should conquer 1,000,000 men in battle, he who conquers himself is the greatest of conquerors." Self-mastery is not cold control. It is compassionate awareness. It is knowing your own patterns, your own pain, your own peace, and choosing to act with wisdom, not compulsion. So focus on yourself, not with fear, but with love. Not to control life, but to meet it with clarity. You don't need to escape the world. You only need to stop being ruled by it. And when you do, something shifts. You begin to move differently. Speak less, yet say more. Choose calm over chaos. And the world will notice, not because you forced it to, but because your presence has changed. The one who masters themselves needs no crown to be seen as powerful. 6. Detach, not because you don't care, but because you do. What if true care means letting things be as they are? We often confuse attachment with love. We believe that caring deeply means holding tightly, that to be invested, we must be in control. But Buddhist wisdom teaches something more profound. Detach, not because you don't care, but because you do. To love someone or something with open hands instead of a clenched grip is the highest act of compassion. Attachment is not love. It is fear disguised as love. Fear of loss, fear of change, fear of the unknown. But true love, the kind that heals rather than harms, is spacious. It allows people to grow in their own time. Like a wise gardener, you do not force a flower to bloom. You wait, you water, You trust the process. You care not by control, but by quiet presence. And yet, the mind resists. It says, if I let go, they'll leave. If I stop controlling, things will fall apart. But has control ever brought you peace? Or has it only made your love conditional? The moment you release the need to manage everything, something softer takes root, a deeper understanding, a quieter strength. You begin to see others not for what they could become for you, but for who they already are. Try this today. See someone, just one person, without the lens of what you want from them. Don't wish they were more attentive, more available, more perfect. Just observe them with stillness, without agenda, without need. Notice how that simple act changes your energy. Notice how it softens you. Ask yourself gently, are you attached to the person or to the story you want them to fulfill? Are you loving them, or are you trying to rewrite your past through them? It's a difficult truth, but a liberating one. When you drop the story, what remains is clarity. And from that clarity, you can care more purely. Not to fix, not to possess, but simply to witness, to honor, to be. The Buddha taught, you only lose what you cling to. So maybe letting go isn't the end of love, but the beginning of a love that's no longer built on fear. A love that doesn't demand, that doesn't suffocate, that doesn't depend on constant reassurance. Focus on yourself, not in detachment from others, but in devotion to your own peace. When you detach from control, you become present, you become gentle, you become free. And that freedom is felt by everyone around you. They sense something different, something rare. Because when you stop needing to hold everything together, you become the space where everything can grow. That is the kind of love that doesn't need to speak, but still changes everything. 7. Stillness disturbs the unsettled. Why do people react when you finally choose peace? There's a strange discomfort people feel around someone who is no longer triggered. When you stop engaging in the old arguments, stop explaining your quiet, stop participating in the drama, you become unsettling to those who feed on noise. Stillness disturbs the unsettled. Because peace, real peace, is not passive, it is powerful. And those who are not at peace will feel threatened by the presence of someone who is. The calm man does not need to raise his voice. He does not need to be understood. His energy speaks louder than his words. And in a world that finds comfort in chaos, this kind of inner silence feels like a confrontation. It reflects what others have not yet mastered. A silent bell in a screaming room becomes deafening. Not because it speaks, but because it doesn't. Many people are not looking for connection. They are looking for reaction, to pull you into their storm, to prove they still have control over your emotions. But when you remain still, when you choose not to fight, not to defend, not to collapse into their patterns, something shifts. You no longer belong to their story. You've stepped out of the script. You've chosen peace over participation. Try this today. When someone pushes your boundaries, challenges your quiet, or tries to stir your center, stay still, not in pride, not in silence as a weapon, but in truth. Watch how it confuses the chaos. Watch how it reveals what is theirs and what is yours. Because the moment you realize that your peace is not for performance, it becomes real. Ask yourself softly, is your peace real or just convenient? Is it maintained only when life is quiet, or does it stay with you even when the room shakes? The true test of peace is not how well you hold it in meditation, but how deeply it holds you in confrontation. The Buddha once said, "Better than 1,000 hollow words is one word that brings peace." And sometimes that one word is no word at all, just presence, just awareness, just being. Focus on yourself, not to escape the world, but to move through it untouched by what does not serve you. The deeper your stillness, the less you react. The less you react, the more you see. And in that seeing, wisdom is born. Let your peace be the mirror. Let it reflect to others what they are not yet ready to face. Not to shame them, but to remind them that there is another way to live, another way to respond, another way to be, and in choosing that way, you quietly become the strongest person in the room. 8. When you heal quietly, you transform loudly. What if your transformation didn't need to be seen to be real? In a world obsessed with visibility, it's easy to believe that healing only counts if it's shared, posted, proven. But real healing, deep, soul-level healing, is often invisible. It happens in silence, in solitude, in the small moments when no one is watching. The bamboo grows underground for years before it ever breaks the surface. Quiet, patient, preparing for a rise that shocks the world. You do not need to announce your growth. You do not need to explain your absence, your boundaries, your new peace. When you heal quietly, you transform loudly because your energy changes. Your choices evolve. Your presence begins to speak a language your past self never could. And those around you will feel it, not because you told them, but because you became it. This is the path of the awakened. They do not rush to prove who they are becoming. They honor the inner work like sacred soil, tended to privately, watered with presence, protected from outside noise. Like roots growing beneath the snow, your progress might go unseen, but it is never unfelt. Try this today. Celebrate a private victory, a shift in how you responded, a new thought you planted, a boundary you held. But don't tell a soul, just feel it. Acknowledge it in your heart. Let it be real, because you know it is. This is how confidence is built, not from validation, but from quiet integrity. Ask yourself gently, are you healing, or just performing healing? Are you changing for truth or for applause? There's no shame in wanting to be seen, but the deepest transformations often come when you stop needing to be witnessed, when you shift for your own soul, when you grow because you cannot stay the same, not because the world expects you to evolve, but because your spirit demands it. The Buddha said, "As a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, so the wise are not moved by praise or blame." Real growth does not tremble under silence, nor rise because of recognition. It simply continues, steady, rooted, true. Focus on yourself, not as a performance, but as a practice. Let the outer world remain unchanged for a while. Let people assume you're the same. Let them speak of the old you. It does not matter. Because transformation is not loud. It is cellular. It is sacred. And when it's ready, it shows, without you ever needing to announce it. Grow underground. Heal in silence. And when the time is right, you will rise like bamboo, suddenly, powerfully, and with no one able to explain how it happened. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My growth speaks silently." 9. Protect your energy like sacred fire. Why do you feel empty after being around certain people? Your energy is sacred. It is the quiet fire within you that fuels your focus, your peace, your healing. And yet, too often, we give it away carelessly. To people who do not see it, who do not honor it, who take it not because they need warmth, but because they crave attention. But the truth is simple and powerful. Not every hand that reaches for you deserves your flame. In Buddhist wisdom, your inner stillness is your refuge. Your energy is not infinite. It must be guarded with loving awareness. Like a candle lighting too many others without pause, you begin to forget your own glow. You feel tired, you feel unseen, and you wonder why. But the answer lies in how often you say yes to what drains you, and how rarely you say yes to yourself. Some people confuse generosity with self-sacrifice, but there is nothing noble in emptying yourself for those who refuse to be full on their own. Protecting your peace is not selfish. It is sacred discipline. A quiet fire does not apologize for burning gently. It simply remains. Try this today. Say no once. Not out of anger, not from pride, but out of deep respect for your energy. Feel what that no protects. Feel the space it creates. Feel how that single choice nourishes the flame within you. Ask yourself softly, are you being generous or are you being depleted? There is a difference. One fills you with presence, the other erodes you in silence. You were not made to carry every burden. You were not made to explain your distance to those who never respected your closeness. Let it be. Let them wonder. Let your silence speak for you. The Buddha said, if you light a lamp for someone else, it will also brighten your path. But the lamp must have oil. The flame must be tended. You are not here to burn out. You are here to shine with intention. Focus on yourself, not to shut others out, but to remain lit from within. Your energy, your time, your presence, they are offerings. And offerings must be made with care, or they lose their power. When you protect your energy, you teach the world how to treat it. When you guard your peace, you teach yourself how to remain whole. And slowly, without effort, people begin to notice. Your silence glows, your absence speaks, your peace becomes magnetic. Not because you gave more, but because you finally gave enough to yourself. So guard your fire, feed it, sit with it, and when you do share it, let it be from overflow, not obligation. Because a sacred flame, once honored, can light the world without ever burning out. 10. Don't chase, become. Why do we chase what we're not ready to receive? So much of our suffering comes from reaching, from wanting so desperately to grasp what we believe will complete us: love, success, attention, approval. But in the quiet teachings of Buddhism, we're reminded, don't chase, become. A fruit does not run after the bee, it simply ripens, sweetens, and waits. And the bee comes, not because the fruit begged, but because it became. There is a sacred patience in this. The tree does not rush to bloom. The mountain does not move toward the clouds. It rises, and in its rising, the clouds gather. The wind changes. Everything aligns, not because it forced anything, but because it held its place. Steady, rooted, worthy. When you focus on becoming instead of chasing, your energy changes. You stop needing and you start embodying. You stop asking, how can I get it? And begin to ask, how can I become the one who naturally attracts it? Whether it's peace, love, clarity, or purpose, your job is not to run toward it, but to rise into it. Chasing is often born from the illusion that we are not enough as we are, that we must earn what is already meant for us. But the path of inner growth teaches otherwise. The deeper your roots, the more you draw to you, not through effort, but through alignment. Try this today. Notice what you're chasing, not on the surface, but beneath the want. What does your heart run after? Approval, safety, recognition. Then ask yourself, what kind of person naturally receives that? Become that. Water that version of you, and let the rest come as it will. Ask yourself honestly, what if everything you want comes the moment you stop reaching for it? What if the act of becoming is the greatest magnet of all? When you carry peace, peace finds you. When you move from love, love meets you. When you walk with worthiness, opportunities align, not because you begged, but because you embodied. The Buddha said, "What you think, you become. What you feel, you attract. What you imagine, you create." This is not magic. It is presence. It is energy. It is the silent force of someone who has stopped running and started rising. So focus on yourself, not to withdraw, but to refine. Not to control outcomes, but to become the kind of soul that no longer needs to chase anything. You will shock the world quietly, because your life will begin to change without effort, without noise, without permission. Like the mountain, simply rise, and let the clouds gather on their own. 11. Your stillness is a sword. Some think power is noise, action, reaction. The louder you are, the more control you have. But a deeper wisdom says otherwise. True power is quiet. It doesn't need to announce itself. It sits in stillness, unwavering. And from that stillness, everything bends around it. A lake does not fight the stone thrown into it. It simply absorbs the ripple, then returns to calm. Your stillness is a sword, not because it cuts, but because it protects. In moments of conflict, when others expect you to fight, defend, or collapse, try silence, try peace. The one who does not resist cannot be pierced. It confuses those who live off chaos. They throw their arrows and find no target. They scream and hear only their own echo. The warrior who knows peace wins before the battle begins, because they are not playing the same game. Their victory is internal. It is the mastery of self. And in that space, there is no need to prove, to argue, or to conquer. The self that knows itself cannot be shaken by the misunderstandings of others. Stillness does not mean weakness. It is not passivity or fear. It is restraint, wisdom, strength with direction. A calm mind sees clearly. A still heart speaks truth. When you do not react, you choose. You remain sovereign, and that unnerves the world. Try this. When something today provokes you, pause. Do not strike. Simply breathe, watch, and let the other reveal themselves. Without your resistance, they must face their own reflection. This is how peace disarms chaos, not by fighting it, but by refusing to feed it. Ask yourself, can you be still and strong at the same time? Can you be unmoved and yet fully alive? This is the power few understand. Because the world teaches noise, but the path of the Buddha teaches clarity, presence, control, not over others, but over yourself. Sometimes the loudest thing you can say is nothing. The most powerful move you can make is to stay calm when everything tempts you to shatter, not because you're suppressing your truth, but because your truth is not afraid of being misunderstood. So become like the lake. Reflect, don't resist. Absorb, don't retaliate. And return always to your stillness. Because that silence, that inner quiet, that is the sound of mastery. That is the power that shocks, not through force, but through peace. Bonus lesson. You become untouchable when you return to yourself. There is a place within you that does not move, even when the world trembles, even when your plans fall apart, even when people forget your worth. That center remains, silent, calm, steady, like the center of a spinning top, unmoved by the speed of the spin. But somewhere along the way, you left it. You began chasing approval, trying to belong, proving yourself to people who never even knew how to see you. You became tired, not because you did too much, but because you became too far from yourself, pulled in every direction, twisted by every opinion, drained by every role you tried to play. And so, the question arises, What if you stopped? What if you stopped looking outward and turned inward instead? What if you came home? The one who returns to their own heart becomes untouchable, not unreachable, not cold, but deeply rooted. And when you are rooted, no storm can uproot you. You may sway, but you do not fall. You may bend, but you do not break. Because you no longer seek shelter outside, you carry it within. Try this. Place one hand on your heart and one on your belly. Close your eyes, breathe deep, deeper, and say gently within, I have returned. Say it again, not with urgency, but with reverence. You are not a stranger to yourself. You are the home you were always searching for. He who knows his center cannot be pushed off balance. This is what few understand. They think power lies in dominance or influence or perfection. But true power is presence. When you live from your center, you do not chase, you do not beg, you do not shrink. You radiate quietly, clearly, fully. Let today be your return, not to who you were told to be, but to who you truly are beneath it all. Your calm, your truth, your breath. You don't need to announce it. You don't need to explain it. Just become it. And in that becoming, you shock the world, not with noise, but with unwavering peace. Ask yourself gently, what part of me have I abandoned while trying to be accepted? And when you hear the answer, don't run from it. Return to it. Love it. Reclaim it. That part of you is waiting, not for applause, not for validation, but for your presence. Because the most powerful version of you isn't the one that fights to be seen. It's the one that no longer needs to be, because you've already seen yourself. You've already come home. We'd love to hear your thoughts. If you're not sure what to say, just type, "My growth speaks silently." Quick summary of the principles. Silence is the language of the strong. True strength isn't loud, it's composed. In silence, you meet your rawest truth. When you stop reacting to everything, you begin to hear yourself clearly. This is where real transformation begins. Letting go is an act of courage. Releasing what weighs you down is not weakness, it's wisdom. Holding on to what hurts only delays your healing. The moment you let go, space is created for peace to enter. Peace is louder than reaction. Your calm response in chaos is more powerful than any emotional outburst. When you master your reactions, you no longer let the outer world control your inner world. This is how peace becomes your power. You don't owe the world an explanation. You don't need to justify your peace, your path, or your healing. When you stop explaining yourself, you claim your energy back. Your growth doesn't need to be understood, only lived. Master yourself or be mastered by the world. Either you direct your mind or the world will do it for you. Emotional self-mastery gives you clarity and strength in every decision. The one who rules within can never be ruled from outside. Detach, not because you don't care, but because you do. Detachment isn't indifference, it's mature love. You care without controlling, love without clinging. It's the highest form of freedom, to hold space without trying to own it. Stillness disturbs the unsettled. Your peace will feel threatening to those who thrive in chaos. But don't shrink. Your stillness is a mirror. It reveals what others are not ready to face within themselves. When you heal quietly, you transform loudly. Not all progress is visible. The quiet, inner healing changes your entire vibration. You don't need to announce your evolution. Your presence will do it for you. Protect your energy like sacred fire. Not everyone deserves your light. You must learn to say no to preserve your spirit. Giving to everyone leaves you with nothing to give to yourself. Don't chase. Become. Stop running after outcomes. Focus on becoming the kind of person those outcomes are drawn to. You attract what you are aligned with, not what you chase in desperation. Your stillness is a sword. You don't have to defend yourself to win. Sometimes the most powerful move is no move at all. Inner calm is the sharpest edge against emotional chaos. You become untouchable. When you return to yourself, when you no longer seek yourself in others, you become free. The moment you return to your center, nothing can shake you. This is where the world loses power over you. There comes a time when the noise outside no longer deserves your attention, and that time is now. You are not here to constantly explain, chase, or prove. The path of inner peace begins when you stop reaching outward and begin returning inward. When you focus on yourself, not with selfishness, but with sacred intention, everything starts to align, silently, powerfully, effortlessly. In a world that praises loud ambition, your stillness will feel like rebellion. And it should. Because stillness is not passivity, it is presence. Detachment is not escape, it is awakening. When you let go of the urge to control, react, or impress, you step into a realm where life bends toward your energy, not your effort. As Zen teaches, the quieter you become, the more you can hear. So breathe, reclaim your peace. Let your presence speak more than your words. Let your silence become your proof. And remember, your highest power will always be found in the space where you no longer need to be seen to be powerful. Like this message? Then like and share this video. Share your reflections in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe to Deep Wisdom for more Buddhist insights on living a truly peaceful life. What part of you is waiting to return home, quietly, without needing applause?